Many people think of generosity as giving money or material possessions. While that is one form of generosity, true generosity goes much deeper. It is not only about what we give, but also about the intention behind our giving. In Buddhism, generosity is not just an action. It is a way of being. It is a state of mind that arises from a heart that is open, free, and without fear. When we talk about generosity, we often focus on external things, donating to charity, offering gifts, or helping others in need. These are valuable, but they are only one part of the picture. True generosity comes from within. It is the willingness to share, to be present, and to give without expecting anything in return. It can be as simple as offering a kind word, giving someone your full attention, or showing patience to a stranger. In Buddhist teachings, generosity is known as dana. It is considered one of the most important virtues, a foundation for a life of wisdom and peace. But dana is not about giving because we feel obligated. It is about giving from a place of joy. When we give freely, without attachment, our heart becomes lighter. There is no worry about loss, no fear of not having enough. Instead, there is a deep sense of connection, a realization that we are not separate from others. Sometimes, people hesitate to be generous because they think they do not have enough. They believe that they must first secure their own needs before they can give to others. But true generosity is not measured by how much we give. It is measured by our willingness to give. Even a small act, done with sincerity, carries great value. A smile, a moment of kindness, or a helping hand can change someone's day. There is a story of a poor woman who had nothing but a small piece of cloth. She saw a monk passing by, and despite her own hardship, she tore the cloth in half and gave a piece to him. The monk accepted it with deep gratitude, knowing that this simple act of generosity was more precious than gold. It was not about the material value, but about the purity of her heart. Generosity is a way to free ourselves from the tight grip of selfishness and fear. It is not just about what we do, but about who we become. When we practice generosity, we cultivate an inner wealth that no amount of money can buy. If generosity is such a beautiful and enriching practice, why do we often hesitate to give? What stops us from opening our hearts and sharing what we have? The answer lies in the mind. There are certain fears and attachments that make generosity difficult. By understanding them, we can learn how to overcome them. One of the biggest barriers to generosity is the fear of not having enough. We worry about our future, our security, and whether we will be left with enough for ourselves. This fear creates a sense of lack, making us hold on tightly to what we have. But if we look closely, we can see that this fear is often based on illusion. True security does not come from accumulation. It comes from trust. When we learn to let go, we realize that we already have more than enough. Another obstacle is attachment, our deep desire to control what we have. We identify with our possessions, our status, and even our time. We believe that giving something away means losing something. But in reality, clinging to things only creates suffering. When we hold on too tightly, we become prisoners of our own attachments. On the other hand, when we practice generosity, we experience a sense of freedom. The more we give, the lighter our heart becomes. Sometimes, people hesitate to give because they feel their contribution is too small. They think, "I don't have much to offer. What difference will it make?" But generosity is not about quantity. It is about the intention behind the act. A small act of kindness, done with sincerity, can have a profound impact. Imagine someone struggling with sadness, and you take a moment to listen to them. That simple act may mean more to them than a large donation from someone who gives without care. There is also the habit of waiting for the right time to be generous. We tell ourselves that we will give when we are wealthier, when we have more time, or when we feel more prepared. But if we always wait for perfect conditions, the moment to give never comes. Generosity is something we cultivate now, in the present. It is not about waiting for the right moment. It is about creating the right moment. When we recognize these barriers, fear, attachment, self-doubt, and hesitation, we can begin to let them go. Generosity is not about making grand sacrifices. It is about shifting our mindset. It is about realizing that by giving, we are not losing. We are expanding. We are stepping into a greater version of ourselves, one that is not limited by fear, but empowered by love. Now that we understand the meaning of generosity and the barriers that hold us back, how can we make generosity a natural part of our daily life? Many people think that generosity requires wealth, time, or special circumstances. But in reality, generosity is something we can practice in small, everyday moments. One of the simplest ways to cultivate generosity is through our words. A kind word, a compliment, or even a moment of sincere listening can be a gift. In a world where people often feel unheard and unseen, giving someone your full attention is a profound act of generosity. The next time you have a conversation, try to truly listen, without rushing to respond or thinking about what to say next. Just be present. That in itself is a form of giving. Generosity can also be expressed through small actions. Holding the door open for someone, helping a neighbor with groceries, or sharing food with a friend. These are all simple ways to practice giving. These acts do not require wealth. They require a heart that is willing to care. When we shift our focus from "what can I gain" to "how can I give," our entire perspective on life changes. Another way to cultivate generosity is by sharing our knowledge and skills. If you have experience in something, offer to teach someone who might benefit from it. If you know someone struggling with a problem, share advice or encouragement. Knowledge grows when it is shared, and wisdom deepens when it is passed on to others. Time is another precious thing we can give. In our busy world, time often feels scarce, but taking a moment to be with someone who needs support can make a huge difference. Whether it is spending time with a friend who is feeling lonely or volunteering for a cause, the time we give to others comes back to us in the form of deeper connections and a greater sense of purpose. Most importantly, we must remember that generosity is not just about what we give to others, it is also about how we live. A generous heart is one that is open, patient, and willing to share joy. When we live generously, we inspire others to do the same. Our small actions ripple outward, creating a more compassionate and connected world. Generosity is not a task or a duty. It is a way of being. It is a practice that brings not only happiness to others, but also deep fulfillment to ourselves. When we live with a generous spirit, we discover that we are never truly empty. The more we give, the richer our hearts become. Generosity is more than an action. It is a way of living. When we open our hearts and share with others, we not only bring happiness to those around us, but also nourish our own inner peace. A generous spirit does not depend on how much we have. It depends on our willingness to give. Even the smallest acts of kindness can create a ripple effect, touching lives in ways we may never fully realize. As you go about your day, there may be moments when you have an opportunity to give, through a kind word, a thoughtful gesture, or simply by being present for someone who needs support. These moments, though small, are powerful. They shape the way we connect with others and deepen our sense of fulfillment. When we practice generosity, we begin to see that we are not separate from those around us. We are all connected, and by giving, we enrich not only others' lives, but our own as well. There is no perfect time to start being generous. It does not require wealth or special circumstances. It is something we can do here and now, in whatever way feels natural to us. A smile, a moment of patience, a helping hand. These are all forms of generosity that have the power to transform our daily lives. For those of you who have supported this channel by watching, leaving kind comments, sharing your thoughts, and even using features like Super Thanks, I sincerely appreciate your generosity. Your support allows these teachings to reach more people, and that itself is an act of giving. Knowing that these words resonate with you is a gift to me as well. If this message has been meaningful to you, I hope you continue to explore the practice of generosity in your own way. And if you feel inclined to share your thoughts, I would love to hear them in the comments. Thank you for being here, for your kindness, and for your time. May your path be filled with peace and generosity,